Once upon a time, when men and dragons walked on the same land, there was no happiness. They all lived in fear and had to sacrifice the most beautiful maidens of their tribe to allow the others to live. The villagers select the 5 most beautiful young women in the village and start the sacrificial ritual, in which the girls have their hair braided and are tied to different boats. Then the boats are left on a frozen lake, where the dragon's brides await their sad fate. The people around sing a frightening song and the monster comes out of the horizon and selects the maiden to be sacrificed. Upon seeing his beloved being taken away, a knight in the crowd decides to go after her and after a long journey, finally finds the dragon's lair. When he reaches there, however, he finds that the maiden is dead, and in a fit of grief and rage, he throws himself at the monster and strikes him on the neck with his lance. That day, the knight rescued his people from fear, and from then on, he was known as the Dragon Slayer. After many years, all the misfortunes that the monster had caused were forgotten and the terrible ritual became a wedding ritual. On the day of Igor, the grandson of the Dragon Slayer, when he is to marry the Duke's youngest daughter, the whole city celebrates, for this is the most anticipated event in years. With the help of her older sister, Miroslava, also known as Mira, prepares to meet her fiancé, but shows no excitement for the wedding. While Yaroslava braids her hair, the young woman laments the fact that there are no more dragons, as she would like to have the chance to marry a true dragon slayer and not his grandson. When Yaroslava hears this, she is furious and scolds her younger sister for always having her head in the clouds. At this moment, Mira says that the young woman is envious because she hasn't found a husband yet, and this really upsets Yaroslava. As the two sisters quarrel, Prince comes in and tells Mira to hurry, as everyone else is waiting for her. The young Duchess is not fond of the marriage, but she goes ahead with it, hoping that she will fall for Igor with time. In homage to the sacrifice of their ancestors, the ritual is performed according to tradition, and the bride lies down in a wooden boat to be carried to the altar. While Igor is pulling the boat across a frozen lake, the guests sing a song that their ancestors created to celebrate the Dragon Slayer, but something totally unexpected occurs. Suddenly, a dragon appears on the horizon and Mira is captured. The creature, which appears suddenly, tries to take the bride away, but is stopped by Igor, who uses a rope to pull the vessel down. But as the Duchess neared the earth, the monster managed to catch her back and whisk her away to its lair. Upon arriving at that dirty and gloomy place, Mira remembers the horrific moments she experienced during the journey and realizes that she ended up being wounded by the dragon's claws. In an attempt to escape that place, the young woman begins to climb the walls, but soon realizes that she is being watched by a small wild animal, which does everything to intimidate her. Startled, Mira picks up a rock to defend herself, but suddenly hears a male voice telling her to put the rock down. Otherwise, she will only make Otets even angrier. The creature approaches and sniffs the young woman, and then it goes away, and Armin introduces himself. At that time, Mira asks him to help her to get away, but the young man says that it is impossible to escape from the dragon, and the Duchess decides that he is also a prisoner. When asked why her people sang the ritual song, Mira reveals that her fiancé wanted it that way and says that everyone believed that dragons had ceased to exist. However, Armin claims that it was that song that summoned the dragon, and because of that, Mira was captured. Noticing that the young woman is injured, the boy hands her herbal paste to apply to her wounds, and for the first time, they exchange glances. Mira wants to get home, and asks Armin to help her distract the dragon, but the prisoner says it can't be done without killing him. The Duchess tells the boy that he is a coward and covers the hole that let them communicate with a stone, and calls him furious. Immediately afterwards, the young woman begins to think of an escape plan and cuts her own hair to make a rope and try to climb to the top. But before Mira could start her ascent, the dragon came out and scared her with its roar. After the creature has left, it goes to the wall and starts calling out to Armin, but he doesn't respond. When she feels she has no one else to turn to, Mira starts to cry and must summon all her courage to get away, but as she climbs, her hair breaks and she can't make it to the top. The young woman feels despair at that moment and starts to hit the wall with a rock. After some smacks, she notices a hole in the wall and decides to venture through the wall to find Armin. As Mira is looking for the boy, she sees an exit and walks towards the light, but is suddenly surprised when the dragon arrives, who is strong and large and intimidates Mira. During the chase, the Duchess enters a cave to hide and the creature tries to hit her with a fireball. When the monster realizes that its attack has failed, it sends Otets to capture the young woman and bring her back, but by the time the little creature reaches her, Mira is standing on the edge of a cliff, about to jump into the sea. Suddenly Armin shows up and attempts to persuade the young woman to return to the house. Noticing that the lemur obeys the boy's orders, Mira concludes that he also works for the dragon and tries to distance herself from him. The Duchess steps back and falls off the cliff. As she falls, she feels Armin's hands clinging to her body. The boy's skin catches fire, and by some magic, he becomes a majestic dragon. When the monster realizes that it will not be able to fly, it protects the girl from falling with its own body. This sacrifice saves Mira's life, but Armin is severely injured. The Duchess seizes the moment to call for rescue, but does not realize that her fiancé has gathered a whole crew to save her. But on the way, Igor and his men become lost in the fog and are unable to make it to the island in time. Mira discovers that there are no ships in the vicinity waiting for her, and she approaches the dragon, who then transforms back into a human. The young woman decides to take the chance to kill Armin. After all, the boy is so injured that he can't even get up. But when she picks up a stone to strike him, Mira notices that Otets is coming closer and closer and is compelled to watch as the creature is saddened to see its master drowning. The Duchess, then, even though she didn't want to, wanted to help her enemy and used a piece of cloth to pull him back into the cave. When Mira reaches the top of that big rock, she sees the creature suddenly get up, its body on fire, but before it can finish transforming, it falls back down. The young woman makes sure Armin's life is not in danger and then heads back down to sea level and boards an old boat that was wrecked off the coast to attempt to cross the ocean. However, before she had a chance to leave the island, Mira spotted a strong storm approaching and decided to postpone her trip. Once they reach shelter, she makes a makeshift rain shelter with fabric and takes care of Armin's back wounds. In an attempt to warm herself with the heat from the dragon's body, the young woman lies down with her back to it and wakes up the next morning next to a campfire. After eating the fruit that Armin left for her, Mira goes after him and tries to convince him to take her back home. But the young man says he can't do that. The boy recounts that some time ago, he was taken to that island to live with his father, who, like him, was a dragon. Despite living isolated from everyone else, Armin was happy because he greatly admired his father and dreamed of being like him. One day, a boat docked at that island and the boy couldn't wait to make friends with the people there. However, instead, he saw his father killed, and on that day, a strong desire for revenge ignited in his heart. When he underwent his first transformation, Armin's mind was flooded with memories of all his ancestors, and he saw all the maidens who had been eliminated in a terrible ritual. There he found out that his father was a monster and that he would never do the same. For decades, Armin struggled against his own instincts to control his dragon, and he was succeeding in his mission until the day of Mira's wedding. Hearing the ritual song being sung loudly, the young man completely lost control, and when he regained consciousness, he realized he had captured a young bride. After telling this story, Armin reveals that the reason he can't take Mira home is because he's unable to control the dragon. Next, he asks the young woman to be patient, for the dragon slayer will soon appear to rescue her and Armin will not try to stop him. But sailors who come near that island, which was built from the bones of an ancient dragon, can only see fog. According to legend, the traveler can only make it to the island if the heart of a loving girl is waiting for him. This means that Igor will only find his way if his feelings are reciprocated by Mira. While waiting for her fiancé to arrive, the young woman offers to help Armin recover, since he was injured while trying to save her. Armin gives Mira new quarters where she can hide if the dragon returns, and he looks around the island for chests containing human belongings to make Mira's new space a real home. The next few days, Armin tries his best to make his guests stay in this unfriendly place as pleasant as possible, and Mira reveals the beauty of life to him. After a romantic stroll on the beach, where she saw beautiful flower petals dancing in the wind, the young woman returns to her room and finds Otets rummaging through her bag. Though she enjoys her new life, Mira doesn't know if Armin can keep the dragon under control forever, so she has packed a bag of supplies in case she has to run for it. When night falls, she invites Armin to her tent and they talk for several hours. The boy notices that the place is now cozier than ever before and puts the credit to Mira. Armin is grateful and takes the young woman to the mountaintop to set off some fireworks for her. When she sees those colorful explosions decorating the sky, Mira is overjoyed and feels even closer to the young dragon. That night, while sleeping, the Duchess feels a spark touch her face and wakes up in surprise, looking for Armin, but this time the monster does not attempt to attack her. During the search, she meets the monster, but unlike the other times they've met, the monster doesn't try to attack her. Rather, the beast draws her nearer, but a few seconds later, the dragon goes wild and Mira finds herself cornered. Fortunately for her, the young woman soon finds out that it was all in her dreams, and when she wakes up, she finds Armin. The boy says he heard the girl's screams and ran to check if she was all right. Mira then tells the audience that at that moment she had a bad dream about the dragon and that she is afraid it will hurt her. When he hears this, Armin swears that he will never let the dragon hurt Mira, and says that she has made him feel like a new man. Armin goes back to his room, and Mira hears him playing the instrument she gave him as a gift, and she falls in love with him. The young woman takes a dip in the waterfall in the morning, then prepares herself and picks out a beautiful red dress to impress her beloved. As he makes his way to Mira's room with a bouquet of flowers in his hands, Armin feels himself beginning to transform and runs towards the cliff to get as far away as possible from the young woman's quarters. However, his plan doesn't work as expected, and Mira manages to find him. Terrified of the idea of losing control and hurting the girl, Armin says he can't wait for Igor to show up to get her, but the Duchess says her fiancé won't be able to find his way to the island. Then she displays the kite she sewed from some cloth and asks Armin for assistance in flying the kite. As the boy moves a little closer to Mira, their hands touch as the kite flies in the air. At that time, he feels the dragon is trying to take control, and he escapes before the young woman realizes what is happening. Armin goes into the crevice that he has used as a cage for the dragon and starts to play the instrument that Mira gave him, trying to calm himself down while fighting his inner monster. When he finally manages to compose himself, he awaits Mira's arrival and decides to tell her how a dragon is created. The reason why the bones are not found all over that island where so many women were killed is because the flames of the creature turned all the bones to ashes and a baby dragon was born, says Armin. The boy tells him that the next morning Mira will leave in a boat, and the wind will take her out to the open sea, so that she will not suffer the same fate. Armin then says these words and returns to the rift, where he then transforms, leaving Mira with no option. So, in the morning, the young woman does as he commands and begins to hoist sails to leave, leaving the lemur and her beloved behind. Igor gives up the search after a few days and tells the captain of the boat to head back home as they are lost in the fog. But rather than obeying the boy, Andrei tells the boy that he had promised his father that he would keep his family's honor. Therefore, Andrei intends to continue the search and advises Igor to rest a bit, but the young man is not willing to continue risking his life. Igor threatens the captain with a blade and says that Mira is not alive anymore, so they need to get out of there before they go the way of the young woman. Suddenly the crew sees a sign in the sky and the warriors are ready to fight the dragon, but unexpectedly Mira's ship appears out of the fog and the Duchess is saved. Andrei takes her up on his boat, and then he plans to go to the island to kill the dragon, but Mira says that the dragon is dead and asks her fiancé to take her home. The captain reluctantly agrees to Igor's instructions and starts the boat, and they head back to the open sea, where they will follow the path back to the city. After a couple of days, Mira announces a new date for her wedding, and Yaroslava again assists her sister in getting ready for the wedding. In the meantime, Armin is stuck on that island with his thoughts and the memory of the best days of his whole life. The young man is very happy for Mira's happiness and good luck in her relationship, even though he feels empty and lonely in his heart. Before he can give his daughter's hand in marriage to the grandson of the great dragon slayer, Prince decides to have a conversation with her and says that Mira doesn't have to marry out of obligation anymore. The Duke then advises his daughter to stay with the one she loves, as he wants the young woman to have a happy life without regrets. Again, Mira is lying on a wooden boat in white clothes and is brought to the river where her date pulls her boat away. When Igor pulls the rope, the young woman gets up and breaks the ceremony by saying that she doesn't love him and can't marry him. After revealing to everyone that she is in love with the dragon, Mira begins to sing the song of her ancestors, and Armin, who has just jumped off a cliff, manages to hear her. The young man was going to make the end of it, for he didn't want to live that life without his forbidden love. After she has sung the old song, Mira waits for the dragon to come, but no one comes to get her. Everybody is paralyzed, not knowing what to do, and Igor commands his men to pull the bride out of the lake. But before they can do it, the dragon comes. After capturing the Duchess, the monster flies away, and Prince is comforted knowing that Mira followed her heart's desire. Seeing the dragon carrying his bride away, Igor grabs a spear to try and stop it, and Yaroslava yells for him not to hurt her sister. The boy refuses to give up, even though he knows that Mira will end up being hit, but is prevented from getting his revenge when Andrei snatches the spear from his hand and strikes him. When he comes to the island, the dragon takes Mira to the altar where all the other young women were killed to give birth to a new dragon. But as Armin was about to throw his flames, the young woman held his face and decided to kiss him. The moment, the monster recoiled, confused by her action. Then Mira discovers that he is accustomed to being feared, but doesn't know what it feels like to be loved. This is what the young woman says in response: "I love you for who you are, and if it is your dragon's will, I will be a sacrifice." Hearing this, the monster's fury is appeased and it rests its head on Mira. From that day on, The couple were never apart again, and in time, they had a daughter to whom Armin tells all his dragon stories. After telling the story of how he met Mira, Armin puts the girl to bed and asks Otets to babysit while he goes for a walk with his beloved. When the sun is just about to set on the horizon, Armin turns into and Mira gets on the dragon's back so that they can fly together. Subscribe to watch more videos like this, leave a comment about your favorite movie, and we will make it next. Thanks for watching.